Welcome, everybody, to the Remote Online Notary Network. Today, I have an interview with Selecia Young-Jones, an active remote online notary in Florida. Selecia has been sourcing her own business and doing a great job for the past few months. I am really interested to know everything you do, though, Selecia. So tell us about your traditional notarization business that you had before you became an online notary.
Well, for several years, people would say to me, "You're a notary, right, Selecia?" And I'd say, "No." And so there was something really just tugging at me to get my notary. So between Christmas and New Year's, almost this time of year of 2017, I went online. I didn't know what I was doing. So I just typed, how to become a notary in Florida. I found a company. I passed the test. I got my commission. And I just made a simple Facebook post of my own that says, "I got my notary in Florida." Well, it was like a machine gun going off. Ping, 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 ping. Oh, we need a notary. Oh, we got married by a notary. Oh, we always need a notary. Oh, my son's getting married. Will you marry him? Because when you're a notary in Florida, South Carolina, and Maine, you can also be a wedding official. So I realized, this may be a thing. And so I had to think quickly on my feet. Okay, what am I going to do? And I created Rainbow Notary and Nuptials. And so I just started out doing basic notary work, doing the weddings, doing, VIN verifications, and just whatever anybody needed. And then a lady at church, actually I have two friends at church, they're both named Beth and Beth, are also notaries. And she said, "Well, if you ever get double booked or anything on a wedding, let me know." And well, that's exactly what happened. And so I jokingly said, "Well, I'll just create an entire network of notaries across Florida and we'll put everybody under the rainbow." Be careful what you say in this world, because that's exactly what happened. And I have created a network of notaries. Many of them were friends of mine before who I've talked into being notaries, or who had been notaries and then got their commission back again. And others are people that I have just found through many of the Facebook pages that are the fellow notaries. So wow. I have enjoyed this and I have expanded it. And now we're the Rainbow Mobile Notary and Wedding Officiants Network.
So how many notaries are in your network now?
12.
Wow, that's pretty good. And what county are you in?
I'm in Duval County, Jacksonville, Florida. Okay,
awesome. All right. So that was my next question, was where do you live and run your business? So that dovetails right nicely into there. So you had your existing service, you do a lot of wedding officiant work, which that just sounds so fun to me.
That's the fun part.
Do you have a favorite story about doing that?
I have a couple of favorite stories. Right in the beginning, it was in 2010. So it was the first, 2018. It was the first year that I was doing this. We had a hurricane coming through and it closed the courthouse in Tallahassee. And so these people called me because they were planning to just go and do a little courthouse wedding, come to Jacksonville, get on the airplane and go to Italy for their honeymoon. Well, the hurricane closed the courthouse on the 10th. It was 10/10. That was their favorite day. And so I arranged to marry them at the airport. And I had a friend in the news business. So I called her and I said, "I know you're going to have enough bad news with this hurricane. So send out a crew." And they filmed the wedding. We had it right in the atrium, right in the middle of the airport. And I married them and sent them off on their Italian honeymoon. So that's kind of one of those, bad news, good news stories. And one of my other favorites is a wedding that I did. And, of course, you're talking on the phone to people a lot and you don't know them. And sometimes until you get there. And it was an older lady. She was 65 and widowed. Now, that part I knew. But the man that she was marrying, Joseph, was 73 and had been a bachelor all his life. So don't think that love won't come. It will. And you sometimes just have to wait for it. So it's just so sweet. And I actually ran into them, I guess about a year later at an event. They said, "Oh, there's our minister. There's the lady that married us." And it was just really sweet to see them again. So it is a fun and fulfilling thing to marry people.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I really love those stories. All right. So you've been a traditional notary for a few years, and now you have become an online notary. When did you become an online notary in Florida, and when did you add the service to the business that you already offer?
Well, I saw last year in 2019, that it was going to be available in 2020, starting January of 2020. And I just really paid no attention to it because I thought, I don't know. And even as the year went on just a little bit, I thought, I don't, why would I want to be remote? Why would I want to do this online? And then, of course, as you know, and everybody on the planet knows, yeah. COVID-19 came along, and the idea of being able to notarize something, and even if it's for somebody across the street, guess what? Right. Zero contact. Mm-hmm. And then I kept looking at it, and I finally saw, because then once I started really looking at it, say after April, May, June, I looked and I scoured the internet looking, because this is nothing new. Remote online notarization has been around since 2010. Virginia is the first one that started it, mm-hmm. and it slowly rolled out across the U.S. Since then. It rolled out quickly to many places after COVID hit. But just as, little me trying to find, well, how do you do this? And who do you use? And what's a platform? And all of these different, things and all of the different lingo that went with it was very difficult. And, I think I said apples and oranges, and it's more like giraffes and hand grenades. There's no connection. Right. To learn the remote online notarization process. But once you finally get into it, and once you get a platform, and once you learn it, then it is apples and oranges, and you can learn it a little bit more. The different ones have like these high dollar, sign up fees and stuff. But once I saw Kendra Lewis's email, Zoom video. Oh, yeah. She had it. I think it was on a Sunday. I remember it was like on a Sunday at 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock or something like that. Once I watched that, because I had seen it on Facebook in the Facebook pages, right. Then it made perfect sense to me. And that's when I started. So that was like back in July.
Kendra she did a lot to push out education about online notarization. And she had several weekend live streams that were on Saturdays and Sundays alternating. And I think you're right. I think thousands of online notaries found out about this existence from her.
Right. And the ability to, because I'm just a little single. I'm a little single person. I'm a little single person with a little, I'm not some huge corporation. I can't afford a $500 annual fee and a $250 a month fee for the few that I do. Or, could you get it set up to, once you get the ball rolling, maybe later, but it made no sense to me to pay these huge upfront fees for something that may not even happen.
Right. And it's funny because I've thought that over months, years, that as the competition grew stiffer, that those fees would start to come down. But I know which platforms you mean, the really popular ones that are almost $1,000 per year plus extra costs. And those fees have only increased in the past couple of months. They didn't go down. So I don't know what's going on with online notarization platforms, but hopefully they'll turn the corner soon, because the fees are pretty outrageous for the independent platforms, definitely. All right. So I asked you to join me on here because you attract many online notarization customers. And I know that the biggest questions online notaries have who already have their commissions and are ready to go or have their RON approval letter, like Florida gives the letter. How do I get independent business? How can I get my own clients and bring them to a platform, notarize with them, earn money, and get my business rocking and rolling? So I'm very interested to hear from you what advertising steps you took to start building your online notarization portion of your business. And I want to reflect back to what you said about getting the news crew to come out to see the folks at the Jacksonville airport before they flew. I can already tell that you are a brilliant marketer. You know what to take advantage of when. So please enlighten us on what you do to get your online notarization business.
Okay. All right. Well, you can here's the part. you can turn any customer into a remote online notary customer. You know, when I tell people, I mean, even just using the One Notary platform with the $25, fee for just a simple notarization. Mm-hmm. For me to leave my home is a $20 travel fee. And in Florida, it's a $10 notarization. So it's $30 for me to come to you.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you it's 25. And guess what? I'm still in my pajama bottoms, And, you can, like what I'm saying, you can turn any customer into a Ron customer. And, line them up to do the same thing. I mean, I have done that, but I have also expanded and looked, because here's the thing. We have 300 and something million people inside the United States, but we also have millions of expats living around the world. Yeah. Now, my sister just happens to live in a little village in Mexico that has a ton of expats, and I've visited there many, many times. So I am going after the expats in Mexico. I'm going after the expats in Puerto Vallarta, Ajijic, Guadalajara, because those are the places that I know, and there are people that I know there. So I'm advertising in the Guadalajara Reporter, the Puerto Vallarta Mirror, the Ojo del Lago. So I'm advertising in those publications.
Brilliant.
Guess what? There's expats in Hong Kong. There's expats in London. There's expats all over the world. If you're Italian, do the Italy thing. If you're German, do the Germany thing. If you're French, do the French thing. Whatever connection you have, you were in the Army and you've got a bunch of buddies that still live over in Germany, do that thing. And find that connection of where you can get in there. Look online. I mean, I'm looking on the expats websites, and, there are so many places. Because what we're doing is we're notarizing U.S. documents for people. And they don't even have to be American citizens. That's the other part. It's someone who has a social security number and a passport that can pass the KBA. Those are, your three things. Mm-hmm. So you could reach out, because the other part is you can go to the consulate and get things notarized. And that's what people have done in the past. Mm-hmm. However, because of COVID, guess what? The consulates are cerrado, closed. Yeah. So this poor gal, I hated it. And I tried to help her. She had to actually fly to Chicago from Guadalajara to sign some papers. They would not accept a Ron signing, which I hated for her. But,
was it real estate?
If you can say people this, because that's what people say, if we can get this signed, there people are signing things for their IRAs. They're signing things, to get distributions for their IRAs. They're signing things to change bank accounts. They're signing things to get their Social Security deposited from this bank to this bank. I mean, it's all just simple stuff, but they can't walk into the Guadalajara consulate. Mm-hmm. They can't walk into the Hong Kong consulate. They can't walk into the consulate in South America because they're closed. And here's the other part. Consulates charge $50 per notarization. So if you got 3 pieces of paper that need notarizing, that's $150. Mm-hmm. When you tell them ours is 25 plus 10 and 10 and whatever, wow. Mm-hmm. This is a big plus. I mean, the price point is very, very pleasing to people.
Yes. And I remember even pre-pandemic, I had a real estate client who lived in Dubai. She had to make her appointment to get her seller's doc signed 2 weeks in advance. There was no just like walking in the door and it's going to happen that day. It had to be very pre-planned, exact, and have the cash ready. They don't take cards and all of that. So I know exactly what you mean. For the Chicago docs, where she had to fly to Chicago, was that for real estate?
It was for a real estate transaction, and they just absolutely. And that's the other part is we have to educate people. That's part of our job too. Is we are here to educate people what this is. Mm-hmm. But I need it to have a stamp on it. Yes, ma'am. It's going to have a stamp, but I need a signature. Yes, ma'am. It's going to have your signature. I mean, I always say, after we do all this, it has, it goes up into the cloud and comes back to you as a freshly minted, freshly notarized document. And, I've even had some people send them to me, especially in Mexico. I've had them forward them back to me just so I can mail them, because it takes about 3 weeks for mail to come from them. So I can drop it back in the mail and send it right on for them.
Right. No, that's smart. That's really good. And that's a good way for you to add another service that you can advertise as well.
That's right. Apostille, same thing, it's the same thing.
Yes, you're lucky because you are in Florida and you can apostille. Let's briefly describe what that means to the viewers. And I'll preface that with, I called the Texas Secretary of State and they told me they will not apostille an online notarized document, which I was shocked by that. That is an apostille is an authentication of a document. What it is a Secretary of State, someone there looking at the notary's information, looking at the document, verifying that this was a notary with the authority to conduct a notarization in that state. And then they apply a certificate. There's a fee for all this. It's usually about $100, I think. And, but you are lucky because you're in Florida. Have you had the opportunity to do an apostille ever, even for a regular?
I have. And, it's really funny. My sister was married in the U.S., married in Georgia. And when you live out of the country, like for insurance or whatever, you can't just say, hey, here's my marriage license. No. That actual same marriage license has to have a little special stamp on it called an apostille, which is from the Secretary of State of Georgia or of whatever state that document is from. That says, oh, yes, this is a marriage license. So just handing it to them and say, this is a marriage license, no good. Has to have that extra, this is a marriage license stamp. Mm-hmm. Now, that is a very lucrative business. I cannot charge what some people charge for apostille work. Some people charge $200 and $300 to apostille things, and I charge a lot less. I'll just leave it at that. And it is just to ensure that correct stamp gets on there, and because when you're getting insurance or car insurance or health insurance in Mexico or another country, they need to see that Billy and Mary were really married. And, Billy and Mary are trying to get a marital policy. We need to see that Billy and Mary were really married.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. We'll see. We're going to see so many changes over the next year or so. We'll see what states offer online notarization and will apostille that. We'll see, I hope, big changes to KBA, the knowledge-based authentication. My next question for you is, what are the biggest challenges you've seen with remote online notarization? And I know you and I have spoken previously about the KBA, the knowledge-based authentication question. So I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but please tell us your biggest challenges with Ron, because it's not all sunshine and roses and rainbows.
It's not all sunshine, roses, and rainbows. If you will prep your clients before, if you will tell them what's going to happen, you will say, you're going to get these questions and you only have 2 minutes to answer them in, because I've had people fail them just because they took too long. So you stress to them and you say, Billy, I could go online and I could find out all of the answers to these questions and I could assume your identity, but I couldn't do it in a 2-minute time frame. So these are going to be questions that only you could answer in that short period of time. And that's what it's there for. It's there for your protection. What color was your Corvette? What state was your Social Security card issued in? What was your phone number? What was your street address in 1997? I mean, all of these things are going to come at you quickly, but only you could answer them that fast. And it's there to protect you. That is that element. People are very, questioning about this whole remote thing. That is that element that puts, that will take some of the fraud out. That's, step number 1. Can you pass the KBA? Step number 2, can you upload the identification? And step number 3 is going to be our face-to-face of seeing them. So I have to tell you, doing this to me is more secure than me walking up to you on the street and say, let me see your driver's license, and okay.
Yep.
Now, me personally, I've got a black light and I check your driver's license to see, is this a real driver's license? Is this a real birth certificate? Get a black light, ink pen. But adding that extra layer of security. And the KBA is tough. God, I don't remember my phone number. Why are they asking this? This is my husband's car.
Happens all the time. Yep.
You just have to tell them, just answer the question. Answer the question because, just answer the question. I know it's your husband's car. Just answer the question.
Right. And the signers need to get 4 out of 5 correct. And they do get 2 chances.
Get 2 passes at it. Yeah.
Right. But
or
if they
you
fail,
have to wait 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Not 23 hours and 59 minutes, 24 hours.
Exactly. And in Ohio, 48 hours. So yes, ouch. All right. So I already asked you about a memorable wedding. Now, do you have a memorable online notarization success story?
A success story?
Or even a nightmare? What's going to enlighten us the most? We can take it.
At some point, these words may have come out of my mouth. What is wrong with this woman? Yes. You know, I have to say, because I do deal with the expat community, I'm dealing with older people now. Mm-hmm. I am 62. But I, you know, when I say older, I'm talking about 75, 85, older, and, you know, tech, not as tech savvy. So, you know, I probably just, you know, shot myself in the head about this several times. And it's, you know, the amount of time that it's taken me to do some of these runs have been really long. But I say to myself, what if this was my grandmother? What if this was my grandfather? You know, would I want someone taking care of them and getting their things seen about? And the answer, of course, is yes. The tech savvy, you know, is really, you know, tough on some of these. And sometimes they just take a little while. You know, just be kind. I mean, if you're looking, you know, to, you know, get those burgers out quickly, this may not be for you. You know, you might want to try another thing. But I think that in the long run, and I know that it's already working, because, you know, here's the thing, you know, weddings, you're going to marry somebody one time, hopefully, and that's done. But their friends were at the wedding. They're going to ask about them. Who did you use to marry you? Oh, I was at that wedding. I really liked the way Selecia did it. When I get married, I'm going to call her back. And it's all about building relationships, and it's all about building relationships the same as a notary. They only need one document a year, but their friends need it. Mm-hmm. You know, and there's playing bridge, and they say, oh, I need something notarized. Oh, well, this gal that I did, and I saw her ad, she took care of me. Mm-hmm. You know, I want the person that's sitting there playing bridge to say, Selecia took care of me, instead of, that girl was just mean to me, and I don't know why she just didn't help me, and she knew I was struggling. I want to hear that lady say to her friends, you know, I was really having a hard time with that. And that gal stayed with me on that call the whole time, and she got me taken care of. That is going to build you in the long run. That's true. And you will have, when your clients become repeat clients, you have educated, prepared clients. They're going to remember, oh, I need to use Google Chrome. I'm going to use my passport instead of a driver's license, because I know now that the passport goes through much more smoothly. Yeah. They'll kind of have more of an idea of how the process works, and it won't be such a foreign thing where they feel like their hand needs to be held the entire time. So I think you're doing well to educate entire sections of Mexico to get these done. And it does feel like it's also educating huge portions of population that online notarization even exists. Because like you mentioned, it was January 1st, 2020, it became legal in Florida. It is so new. I bet half of Florida doesn't know this exists. No. Not to mention the rest of the country and the rest of the countries that are, you know, outside the United States that have Americans or, you know, permanent residents. Or I've even had a lot of folks from India who used to work here. Right. So therefore they have a social security number. And they have concerns here. Exactly. And then they've been in India for years. They're Indian citizens and everything, but they can get a document notarized online because they had that social. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see who is kind of coming out of the woodwork, who needs this service and who can complete this service. And it's just going to get wider and wider and wider spread. And I think we're going to need an army of online notaries to be able to service, especially with multiple languages and everything else. So here we go. What's your process? And you mentioned a little bit of it about preparing the people. What is your process to get an online notarization accomplished? So I just had a call right before we started from a guy who had called me and said that he has a document that he needs to get taken care of and wants to know, and basically just, you know, set up an appointment, or sometimes, you know, hey, we can do it right now. So he set up an appointment tomorrow, He's going to, I have found that it's a lot easier if they will email you the document so that you can upload it, so that you can look at it. You're going to know, are you going to need to add a jurat? Are you going to need to add an acknowledgement? I mean, it just gives you a little bit of a heads up.
Right.
Of course, when you get into that, and then you tell them, if you can prepare, be prepared. I mean, forewarned is forearmed. If once they know they're going to get an invite, I tell them, don't open, I'm going to send it to you today, but don't open it because the KB only lasts for 6 hours.
Right.
So don't do it today and think we're going to get online tomorrow, because if we're planning on doing it tomorrow, I'll say, I'm going to send you the invite in the morning at 10. I'll see you at noon. You can go ahead and click on there and take a look at it. It gives you a chance to go ahead, look at the document. You can actually pre-prepare the document, go in and put your little boxes in, put your electronic boxes in, where they're going to sign, where the date is. You go ahead and date it, obviously, for today's date, and just get ready and, click, save and exit. And so when they get online, then they're going to see their document, and there are those boxes, and we're ready to go.
All right, Selecia, you have really educated us a lot on what you need to do to be an online notary. Do you have any final words of wisdom or tips that you'd like to share with other prospective online notaries and active online notaries who are out there?
Well, I was just talking about this on a different call earlier today. It is all about building relationship with people, and you don't have to come across as a know-it-all. And it's okay to say, wait a minute, let me call the NNA, or let me call somebody and ask, because we don't, it's like the library. I don't need to know what's in every book. I just need to know where to go find it, we're all human. And I think we need to be a little more fragile with each other, especially after this year that we've had. I mean, it's been a toughie. It's been a doozy. And I think it gives us a little bit of an opportunity to reflect on our humanness and, just to be kind. People are getting something notarized because there's a change in their life. And somebody died, somebody was born, somebody moved, we're selling something, so this is a fast moving thing, and you are just getting that little slice of a moment in their lives. But just realize these are changes that people are going through, good or bad, and to be kind and genuine with these people, and just be yourself. And you don't have to be the best whatever, but you just have to be the best you, and to be genuine with these people, and they will be kind back.
I think those are great words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Selecia. For more great interviews like this one, please subscribe now to the Remote Online Notary Network. Hit subscribe and hit the bell so you can get notified every time. Thanks, Selecia. And thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.